What's up, my fellow Twisters? Welcome back to another episode of our Let's Build series, where we try to create our own redstone bunker. Things are going really well so far, so let's go ahead and continue with today's episode. So today we are going to try to add in a passcode lock input into our laser detection system, as well as a prison with a control room and some other details that we forgot to add in the last episode, as well as some armor stand swappers and some additional lighting. So let's go ahead and first get started by building our passcode input. So this passcode input is going to include 4 different buttons, and the first thing we want to do is place down 4 blocks like so. Place down 4 of our buttons onto the face of those blocks. Have 4 blocks on the left hand side of this area, 3 on the other side, which makes a 9 by 12 by 5 deep area. And once you have that, you could go ahead and start building our system. And to do this, you want to place down 4 redstone torches on the back of those blocks. Place down 2 blocks on the side like so, with a bit of redstone dust on top of that. Grab yourself some redstone repeaters. Place 4 of them down right over here, facing that direction. They should all now be powered. Once you have that, you want to go ahead and dig out some blocks right in front of our repeaters, 2 blocks down, and then we can go ahead and continue building the system. Now, once you have that, you could go ahead and place down another row of redstone repeaters right over there, and then repeat this process yet again by digging out 2 areas of blocks right in front of our redstone repeaters, placing down another row, 1 more area of our blocks being removed, and finally we do it one more time to have our 4th space finally kind of dug out in front of our redstone repeaters. Now after all of that is completed, we should have 4 different sections dug out in front of 4 different sets of repeaters, and this is how we are going to set our passcode input. Now the first thing you want to do is test out the buttons and see which one turns off which repeater. The first button is going to turn off the far left, the second button is going to turn off the far right, the bottom button, which is the 3rd button, is going to turn off the middle left, and the 4th button is going to turn off the middle right. So it's basically 1, 3, 4, and 2, and you want to memorize this as we are going to add in our passcode. Now, the passcode input is going to go from the first input, which is all the way to the right, to the final input, which is going to be the first trench. Now, to add in your passcode input, you simply just add in a block to the area. So this is going to be the first input. I'm going to add in 1, 4 for the second one, then 3 for the third one, and finally we're going to add in 2 for the final input. So as you can see, that's how we would do that. And in order to memorize this passcode, because we don't want to forget it, we need to go ahead and grab ourselves a sign and kind of figure out this passcode yet again, which is 1, 4, 3, and 2. So let's go ahead and grab the sign, put it on the wall. 1, 4, 3, 2. There we go, and that is going to be our passcode input. And now we could go ahead and start building up the system. And to do this, we want to go ahead and now place down a bit of redstone dust on top of the blocks that we place down inside of our trench. And then we want to destroy 2 blocks on the end like so. And once you have that, you grab yourself some more redstone dust, extend the redstone all the way down. So we basically add in 3 bits of redstone dust right over here. There we go. And it's going to go all the way down to this end. Now, once you have that, you want to go ahead and destroy 1 block at the end of the trench yet again. And then place down a redstone torch on top of that. And then you want to grab a block of your choice and place it right above the trench, which is going to allow the repeaters to power that row of blocks. Do the same on top of every single trench. As you can see, that's basically how you would do that. And once that is completed, all of our redstone repeaters should now be activated, and then our torches on the blocks at the side should now be inverted. Now, once we have that, we want to place down a piston on top of this, redstone torch, and then place it on top of all of them until you get them all laid out. Once you have that, you want to place down some sand on top of that. And then finally, you want to place down a row of blocks in between these sand blocks. So there we go. That's what we need to have. Basically, what we need to do now is grab ourselves a redstone repeater, place it right over here, 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 and there. Basically, in between all of our sand blocks. And then we want to place down 3 blocks right over here. Delete the middle block, place down a redstone torch. That's going to power the first repeater and then allow us to get a signal whenever these pistons are activated. Alright, so what we need to do now is go ahead and highlight the areas where we have our redstone underneath our blocks. I did that using quartz, and now we need to place down redstone torches on top of all of the blocks that we don't have our quartz block on. So let's go ahead and now just fill out this area with redstone torches. It should all now be inverted. Then we place down a block of our choice on top of these redstone torches, make a full row of them, and then we could go ahead and start finishing up this system. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go, and now what we need to do is place down some of our blocks right in front of our redstone torches like this, so it comes down into this area. And then finally we need to extend this over and delete the middle block, and there we go. Now we need to place down redstone dust on top of all of these blocks, so let's go ahead and do that. And once we have that, we could place down our regular piston at the end of these blocks, and then place down some sand blocks on top of that. Now yet again, we need to grab ourselves a block of our choice and place it in between these sand blocks, and on this side we need to place down 2 blocks like so. Place down a redstone repeater right over here, a bit of redstone dust there, a bit of redstone dust on this end, and then fill out the areas in between with redstone repeaters facing towards the front. Then we place down a block on the bottom of this with a redstone torch on top of that, and then we place down a block on this corner coming down, and then one more block coming down to the bottom, and then we place down a bit of redstone dust coming down like so, staircasing until we get to the final piston. And then right below the final piston over here, we place down a redstone repeater right on this section. Place one to the right of that, one right in front of it, and then a block right in front of the first redstone repeater, and a bit of redstone dust right over there. We set this to 4 ticks, and another one to 4 ticks, and leave this one at the original ticks. Then come across to this side, place down a redstone repeater coming out of that redstone torch, with a bit of redstone dust going towards this block right over here. Now, on the left hand side, we have the key combination input, and on the right side, we have the reset system, just in case someone tries to spam it, and if they enter a wrong passcode, it would basically not open up the door for them. Now, the final thing we need to do is go ahead and grab a block of our choice, place it right in front of this redstone repeater, then bring this block across, and once we get to these 2 redstone torches, place down some slabs on top of that, and then continue this little area until we get down to this side. Place a block up like so, a redstone repeater going into that block, and then a row of our redstone dust coming from this redstone repeater, which should then reset the entire system. We place down a block right over here next to this bit of redstone dust that has the block over here, and then we build up like so. And then we place down a redstone repeater right over there, and then we could grab ourselves another button. This area is going to be our reset button, so if you go ahead and hit this, you can see that it will reset everything, and then we could extend that to any area in the house. And once we have that completed, we basically have our system now working. So on this section, we are going to have our output right on this block right over here. So basically where this repeater goes into this block, we add in another block at the bottom, leave a space, and place down a bit of redstone dust there. And now when the system is activated, that's going to be our input block, which we could connect up to our laser detection system. So as you can see, we have a tight space over here, but I'll definitely figure out a way to work that in. But let's go ahead and now test out our system by entering 1, 4, 3, and 2. That should go ahead and activate our entire system, as you can see, for a brief moment, and then turn it back off and reset it completely. Now what we could do here is basically extend the system, like I mentioned, into a T flip-flop, which will be very great for allowing us to turn off our laser detection system. So I'm going to neaten up this area, and then I'll be right back and show you guys how all of this would work. Alright, so let's go ahead and test out our system. I basically connected it up to our laser detection system, and it's quite simple, and it already has a T flip-flop built into it, so we just need to add that signal into the input block, which you can find on that episode. But let's go ahead and now enter our passcode, which is 1, 4, 3, and 2, which should go ahead and turn off our laser detection system. Now we can see the trap, and we can easily walk around it. So that is basically our trap and our laser detection input for it. And now we can go ahead and focus on adding in all of the details in this map, as well as getting started with our control room and prison. Alright, so my control room is going to be right over here after we pass the first hallway. And then on this side, we're going to have our prison, which is going to have a regular section for penalties, as well as a maximum security section, as well as all doors working with redstone. So I'll get started with building that. I'll be right back and I'll show you guys what I've done. Alright, so I skipped a lot over here. I built up all of our walls as well as our ceiling, and the reason I skipped it is because we've done this many times before, and there's no reason of showing it again. So let's go ahead and continue and show you guys what I did. So I basically, yet again, filled out all of the walls. I made an area right over here, which is going to lead to a very open hallway, which is going to be the hallway for our prison. We're going to have two different sections, like I mentioned, as well as on this side, I added in a window surrounded by obsidian, leaving kind of like a room in the inside. That way we could place down a waterfall and maybe some stained glass on this side. We're going to add in the controls into this room right over here, or to the wall, and then we're going to add in a wall on this side, which is going to essentially make this into a closed area. Now to do this, I removed all of the staircases, which is basically on this side, and I'm going to replace it with regular quartz and then build up the wall and leave a door space in the middle. So let's go ahead and do that by building up 3 on each side. And once we have that, we can go ahead and now add in the door as well as the different controls for our control room. Alright, so let's go ahead and now add in our iron door. Place down a lever for the moment to keep that door open. Place down a staircase right over here, one over here, and one over there. That's going to be the front door to our control room. Now we could add in the water decoration on this side by basically placing it right up here. So we actually need to make a room in the roof. And then we also need to cover this area with obsidian. So let's go ahead and quickly do that, because after we do this, we can't change it. Alright, so there we go. We place down some water right at the top into that little area, and then it should fall all the way down and not spill out into this area. Once we have that, we could grab ourselves some stained glass. I am going to choose maybe black for this one, and maybe in the future we could change it, but there we go. We now have some black stained glass, which is going to be a nice little window in this area, as well as we can maybe add in another color if we like, but at the moment, I just think that is fine for now. And on this side, we could yet again, like I mentioned, add in our controls. The only control we could add in at the moment is the reset button for our laser detection system, as well as maybe any other of our controls that we could use for the bottom area, which I don't think we could add in anything else, to be honest. Maybe a button to close back our staircase over there. We could connect it up to a T flip-flop, and then the input on that side could be the input for this as well, which allows us to close it from 2 different areas. Alright, so I filled out one of these walls on the side, and behind this wall we have ourselves some obsidian, so that's going to allow us to protect the prison area from any nuclear explosion. As you can see, this goes all the way down to our elevator, and what I'm going to do now is add in a row of lighting, and we would do that by placing down a row of redstone lamps right over here. And once we have that, we could go ahead and dig out an area right above this obsidian so we could work a little. And then once we have that, we can connect it up to our main area in our ceiling next to the roof over here. And then we place down a row of redstone repeaters going into those redstone lamps. And then we could connect it all up with redstone and have a pretty quick and simple redstone lighting system. Alright, so after filling out the ceiling and the wall in the side, I counted to find the middle blocks that's going to be our doorway for our prison. This is going to be the 10th block from the right. This is going to be the 10th block from the left. And our hallway, which is going to go into our prison, is made out of iron blocks, as well as sea lanterns with a bit of white stained glass on top of that. Now I can go ahead and start decorating this wall as well as hallway, and then build in a bunch of cells inside this hallway, which is going to basically have our regular general prison on the right side and our maximum security on the left side. Alright, so I dug out 2 areas with our obsidian filled in. I did not fill in the roof because we could easily do that later. Now I'm going to basically fill out the back area. We're going to make a nice little section over here where we can have some floral arrangements and something for them to enjoy. Then we can begin decorating the floor as well as adding in some decorations into the cell. But for now, we're not going to add in any walls, because if we add in the walls, as you can see, the prison cell will only be 1 block wide. And this is going to be our example for our maximum security prison, which is going to be decorated differently from this one. So let's go ahead and start building this. Alright, so I built up some decorations in the first general prison. The floor is made out of brick slabs. We have this nice decoration on the wall, which contains 2 glass blocks looking into a bit of water, as well as some grass, which could be rare in this post-apocalyptic future, as well as a painting in the middle. And the way I did this is place down a grass block at the bottom, a bit of grass on top of that. Then there's a sign behind this block, and then there's some water on top of that sign so it doesn't crush our grass. glass. So that's basically how you would do that, and then you outline it with glowstone so they could see it better, and then you can place down any painting of your choice right between these two glass blocks. So I'm now going to go ahead and build up the rest of the prison, and then we could go ahead and take a look at what I did. Alright, so I decorated the front door of our prison. As you can see, it's basically an iron door surrounded by a block of our choice with some iron bars on the left and right side of it, as well as this is the interior, a bed with a toilet, which is basically a cauldron, and a trapdoor on top of it. Very simple. Now what I want to do is add in a remote system to open up all of the prison doors, and to do this we place down an iron door right over here on the side, and then when we place a redstone torch at the bottom block, it should power this block over here and then close our door and keep it closed even though we add a power to this door using a lever. So as you can see, that is one foolproof way of allowing no one to break in or out of the prison and allow us to have remote locked doors. And now what we need to do is basically connect this up using a redstone repeater to invert that torch and connect it to our control room. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but first I'm going to decorate our maximum security prison, and then we could go ahead and continue with all of that. Alright, so on our maximum security side, we're basically going to copy the same configuration except make it look a bit more deadly. On the floor we're going to add in soul sand, that way everyone moves around slower when they're locked in here, as well as make the wall at the back out of our netherrack. Once we have that, dig out an area for falling lava, and then place down a lava bucket at the crevice at the top. It should fall down to the bottom without spilling over, and then we need to grab ourselves another glass of our choice and place it right at the front of that lava to close up the area. This is going to be our black stained glass. Place it down right over here. And also place out a bit of netherrack at the bottom so it's just one window. Once we have that, we want to go ahead and place down our door as well as the door area, and you build out a section like so, this time out of obsidian. And then we place down our iron door in the middle like so. And then on the sides, we are going to place cobweb. So we basically scroll down over here, grab ourselves some cobweb, place it around the edges like that, so we can just decorate the area. A little bit later, we'll change all of the blocks over here, but once we have that, that's going to be the entrance to our little room. And now we can go ahead and add in all of the essentials that we need. And alright, so the same concept over here. Place down our bed, place down our cauldron right next to our door with some water inside of that, and a trapdoor on top of that cauldron, as well as we could place down some skulls on the side over here, which is going to be a bit more terrifying, and then replace the roof with our obsidian after we are done. So that is basically going to be our maximum security prison. There's really nothing else that we could add in there because we don't want to give them too many things, as well as we could add in that same trapdoor or power door configuration, which will allow us to remotely activate that entire system. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, connect it up to our control room, and I'll be right back to show you guys how it would work. Alright, so I added in my remote lock doors. As you can see, both of our iron doors are completely closed. Now if we go over here and flick these levers, it will open up our doors remotely, and then we can connect the system up to a more complex one in the future, where as you can see, it works very well, and that is pretty much that. Now we have a template to kind of copy and paste all the way down the hallway, and I'll do that a little bit later because these cells do take a really long time to build. Now let's move on to the final creation in this episode, which is going to be our armor stand swapper. So let's just, start building it. Alright, so to build our armor stand swapper, we need to dig out a 5x1x8 area. Once we have that, place down 3 bit of redstone right over here at the front, going into a block of our choice. On top of that, we place a redstone torch, then an obsidian block at the top, as well as a bit of redstone dust on top of that obsidian block. Grab ourselves a sticky piston, place it down on top of this bit of redstone dust right over there. It should be extended, then we place down a slime block on top of that. We place down a glowstone block on this side right over here, a glowstone block on top of our obsidian block, then 2 more blocks of glowstone stacking up like so, creating vertical redstone. We add down some redstone dust on top of all of these blocks until it gets all the way to the top. Then we grab ourselves a sticky piston, count 4 blocks up at the first bit of redstone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Place the sticky piston facing down with a redstone block on its face. Count 3 blocks up. 1, 2, 3. And then place down a sticky piston facing down with another block of redstone on the face of that. And that should allow us to add a block at the top over here and then create an area for our input. And then once we have that, we need to grab another block of our choice, place it in front of this redstone block, and then place 2 blocks over here, or actually it's 1 block because we already have this one. And then we could grab ourselves our trap door. and then place it right over here at the top, and that should be our entire system completed. Now, the last thing we need to do is add down our armor stand into the ground, so let's go ahead and do that by removing this painting, and then shift and right clicking on top of that trapdoor, hitting this button, it should drop down. We do that again, shift and right click and place it on top of our trapdoor, hit that button, it should drop down yet again. We do it one last time, and it should now go ahead and allow us to swap our armor stand. So there we go, guys. That is basically how that would work, and you just add in your 3 different armors to our armor stands and swap in between them. And now we could go ahead and copy the system however many times in the space that we need. So anyways, guys, that basically wraps up today's episode of our Let's Build series. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please take 1 second to smack the like button. I really do apologize for not doing a lot of talking today. I am very sick, and my nose is really stuffy, if you guys can't tell. And if I talk for too long, I eventually mess up. So that's really why this episode is the way it is. But yet again, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys come back to see the next episode. But this was Twiistz, and I'll see you guys later.